Figure out which ones you like the best.
Right.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night TeamStream. And I'm Mike, and you see in the Serpentor headdress, Joe Colton is with us.
Hello, everybody.
And in no headdress whatsoever, the Honcho, Mark Weber.
Beer, what's up?
And our special guests, bottom right, as our special guests always go, Paul Allor is here.
Hello.
Everyone, applause for Paul Allor. Applause for Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We hear your virtual applause.
Getting ovation.
How is everybody this evening?
Not bad.
All right, good.
One of us
You want to
is
expand on that a little bit? Just not bad?
Yeah.
Anything interesting happen?
No, been a pretty slow week.
Do you
Not
have
much
a
going on.
do you have a new and interesting short round anecdote before like a pre-Twitter spoil?
I do not. No, he's not been doing much lately. I would put him on camera, but he's sleeping right now. So if he wakes up, I'll scoop him up as he walks by.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds
All right.
good. Sounds good. We are here as part of our celebration for COBRA Convergence, which is how I was able to guilt Joe Colton into putting on the Serpentor helmet.
I think you mocked me.
That's usually how it works, yeah. But the foundations are there in guilt. I'd like to think that the lessons my Catholic upbringing gave me are not wasted.
I think you had her at this I command.
He's like, "You're not dressed up for this?" I was like, "Please hold."
I was excited. That line's never worked for me.
Like your whole thing is dressing up in funny costumes. We're part of a team event, and you're not going to wear a funny costume. No. And so she went and put on the headdress. It's casual Serpentor. It's coming soon to the Joe Colton repertoire.
It's
look for her and look for her when the Comic Con business reopens somewhere around 2026.
Yeah, someday.
Apparently, it's casual Thursday at the Velodrome. Fine.
So I was out today, and I saw that there's a new variant Duke on the stand.
What?
In the classified line, yes, right here. It's the Paul Allor Duke. With
the scar in an all new place.
Sorry, Paul, I couldn't resist one.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh, Duke.
His head's over here wearing Beach Heads beret.
Look, that's a pretty big medal to pin to your chest. Hasbro tried to kill Duke and couldn't do it.
couldn't do it. Couldn't pull it off.
Not bad.
Yeah. And people were like, "Why do you hate Duke?" And I'm like, I killed him off because I don't hate him, because when I thought about other characters, mostly the ones I considered, I was like, that wouldn't really bother me if they died on page 6 of the first issue. But when I thought about Duke, I was like, oh no, that would be heartbreaking. I would hate to have to do that and not have him anymore. And so I did it.
They love me.
Sorry, Diana.
Yeah.
But I got to imagine, Paul, if there was a character you just didn't like who wasn't completely necessary, let's throw in Tripwire, you probably just wouldn't write him, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they've given me pretty wide berth to include any characters I want. So, or not include any characters I don't want.
Right? Tripwire is far from the bottom of people's list.
I was going to say, but
I was just trying to pick somebody random.
Yeah.
I mean, I got 2-to-1 odds on Lightfoot going down somewhere in the next 4 issues. One, because he's Lightfoot, and 2, because he's kind of a jerk.
Issue 8 has a very odd assemblage of characters. It's one that takes place like in another location around the world. The next 2 issues both take place like elsewhere in the world, and Issue 8 is a very strange assembly of characters from different eras that just kind of seem to work together for the story. So I'm looking forward to people seeing that. Yeah.
Nice.
Given how the comic industry went pencils up for a while,
the
current and upcoming issues of Joe, you must have put those to bed a long time ago.
Well, we had a pretty big break. Yeah, Diamond was shut down for a while. When it opened up, we put out issue 6, and then just yesterday we started up again on our second arc. But yeah, I think when we went pencils down, I believe 8 was 7 and 8 were both done, and 9 I think was maybe like either inked or colored but not lettered yet, and 10 had been written but no art had been done on it yet. So that's kind of where we were. Yeah.
Before you go any further, let me read our question from the post sock.
Yeah.
This is from Doug Dello, who got a hold of us at our email at whatsonjoemind@gmail.com. Dear Paul and What's on Joe Mind, just wanted to say I'm really enjoying the comic and missed it during the long layoff.
Great.
I was wondering if it's been hard to get back into writing the comic after the COVID layoff, or do you have a plan far enough out that made it easy to start writing again? How far out do you currently have plans for? You just answered that one for us. Hope everyone is doing well. Sincerely, Doug Dello, Yo Joe. So figured we would ask that before you got all the way through it instead of me.
Right. I had planned out to issue 12 before we started the book. So I was able to just kind of pick up and keep going from there. So after issue 12 is I still have like a general idea. Like after that, I think I have like things I know I want to do. Like I have a lot of things I want to do, but I don't necessarily have them all plotted out as specifically as I did, 1 through 12. So
Kill Tripwire. Got it.
Kill Tripwire. Yes.
So if you had a plan, I know we keep, it seems like we keep coming back to this, but every time we talk to you, it's a couple of months apart and something major has happened since the last time we talked to you. So
yeah,
I mean, good on you for keeping it moving.
Yeah,
but
thanks.
Let's just say we'll take all of the potential roadblocks and pandemics and and whatever. Let's just say that you're allowed to take this to whatever logical conclusion you have for it at the end of the story. About how many issues we looking at?
I could keep it going for a long time just because it goes around the world and it spans like there are a lot of different factions out there that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen the October Guard yet. We haven't seen some other folks yet. I don't even want to necessarily throw things out there. The October Guard do get a shout out next month. So they're at least mentioned in the book for the first time. As is a certain British team. But yeah, no, I mean, I could easily do this thing for 100 issues.
Nice. Hope to see it happen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That'd be a minor miracle in today's market.
I know, right?
But
Paul looks over at his pay stub and so do I.
Exactly. Yeah.
Joe got all excited for the October Guard because she's Greek-Canadian.
Excellent.
So it's a natural fit.
Nice.
And so that other group, would that happen to be a group of soldiers that Bobby Valla currently has the copyright for?
Oh, yeah, I can't really get into that, but
oh.
Oh.
I'm stepping way back from that one.
There we go.
We have another question. I'm going to would you like to put it up on the screen, Mike?
We have well, I mean, really, we brought Paul on so he would have the chance to talk to our live streamers, to our regulars, to get the answers that they want on the comic. Now, Paul, don't feel compelled that you have to answer all these. If it's something you can't talk about, you can't talk about it. And,
I just saw Rob's. I looked over and saw Rob's comment. He broke my Duke for a cheap gag, and I thought he meant in the comic. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. Now I feel bad." Then I really just talked about the toy.
This is Rob.
Okay. Now I don't feel bad at all anymore. All right.
It was no, not in the least. It was open and on the shelf, so I grabbed it for the cheap gag.
There you go.
And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Nothing." And then he heard the pop from the head coming out.
Hold on, let me check the rule book here. Now it says here pretty clearly older brothers are allowed to break their younger brother's stuff.
Yeah, but I'm the younger one.
Well, you're the oh boy, now you're in trouble.
I know, he is telling mom.
You're hosed now.
I'm gonna
All right.
keep putting this up there so I can perhaps have it in the thumbnail later on.
You broke
Enough
him.
shots of
You broke the head.
headless Paul Allor Duke, then perhaps it'll live on in infamy.
You broke the head and the torso. There's a giant crack going right across it.
Doing that again? You going for that one again?
No. I'm good.
So
I do want to
Paul,
give a quick shout out to the Honcho for setting me up here.
Oh yes.
So we got Happy
Excellent.
Beachhead going.
Nice.
Yeah, Mark
Paul, when is this guy showing up, man? When are you going to make this trip for me complete? When is this guy going to show up?
We'll see. We'll see. No plans at this. No plans at this time. We will.
Paul's like issue 18 and a half, page 7.
Greg Pack has a great line he uses for questions like that. He says, "We shall see in the fullness of time."
Ooh, there we go. I like that. I like that.
That's like when my kids ask me something I didn't quite hear, and I just say, sure. They know that sure doesn't mean yes. Sure means Dad didn't hear the question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, ice cream? Sure.
Perfect.
All right, so we have
Quick comment from the crowd. We will turn over to our live streamers.
Yes.
First up, Mike Layton says, "I really enjoyed your panel at ToilCon last year."
Oh, excellent.
I think he's talking to you, Paul. I don't think he's talking to me.
No.
Technically, it was your panel too, but yeah, no, that was.
I was just there to in case somebody rushed the stage. My job was to keep them off of you.
There you go.
That was really the whole thing. There.
Perfect.
Who do we have that's obnoxious and large? Well, we've got Mike can play fullback for Paul Allor if we got to get him out there.
There you go. That was a fun panel. There was a lot of really good questions there, and I also was around for the couple panels before mine, and they seemed to all be really good.
We had a good time. We got to compare your beard to the beards of the crowd.
There you go.
That is
something. Like we got nothing going on this one. Like you win the beard off right there, unless Joe Colton's got something in the cabinet.
Yeah, cosplay beard.
There you go.
Maybe she can redo her Clutch cosplay from last week.
Maybe.
All right, the A-lister, Alistair Keffer, has our first real question. What has been Paul's favorite story arc?
In my book?
I guess.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Boy, that's a
Which
tough
one are you
I
most
mean,
proud of?
I mean, number 7, the one that came out yesterday, has been my favorite issue. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the other ones have been like really fun. This one, like number 7, wasn't necessarily, I would say, fun to write at all. But yeah, it's definitely the one that I'm the most proud of. So yeah.
And
absolutely.
we are going to talk about issue 7 here. So apologize if spoilers. We have that spoiler potential.
Right.
If we start talking about issue 7 in earnest, I will hold up Headless Duke. That is your signal for spoiler.
Okay.
So if Headless Duke is up, spoiler.
I will
if
say
Headless Duke is down, no spoiler.
Issue 5 also was a lot of fun because it takes place in Indianapolis, so I had a lot of fun, writing it basically in my neighborhood, and my dog and I have a brief cameo in it as Dreadnoks. So that one was very enjoyable as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We have a question here from Vagon. If I can ask, what source did you use for the PTSD write-up? And that is a reference to issue 7.
Mm-hmm.
So Headless Duke is in play.
Yeah, it was a lot. I won't be spoiling anything for this question though. It was a lot of research. Like I knew I wanted to do this issue basically from when I first pitched the series. So kind of the whole time I was writing issues 1 through 6, I was also researching for issue number 7 in the background. And yeah, my main. I read several books and journal articles on it. I looked at a lot of like not technical manuals, but like manuals for how to treat PTSD. And I also listened to a lot of oral histories from vets talking about their time coming back. But the main sources are the I guess the source I drew the most from is a book called Fields of Combat. I just looked it up because I saw that question coming. Fields of Combat: Understanding PTSD Among Veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan by a sociologist named Erin Finley, where she went down to San Antonio, which is actually where I grew up, and there's a ton of veterans there, and basically did a sociological field study of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans and the struggles they had, coming home. And so then that was all the research that went into writing the script. After I'd written the script, I actually reached out to some folks and asked them if they wanted to consult on it, basically to read the script, tell me what I messed up and how I could fix it, essentially. And the people for that were Dwayne France, who is a retired Army NCO and combat vet. He was in the service for 22 years, and now he's a therapist, and he works with vets and folks with PTSD, and he runs a blog called Headspace and Timing, and has a couple podcasts where he just talks about veterans issues and suicide among vets and all those kind of things. So Dwayne was fantastic. And I also reached out to the Veterans Affairs office. They have a national post-traumatic stress disorder center. And they got back to me right away. I actually I kind of thought that was a bit of a stretch, but I didn't realize that when you say G.I. Joe, people pay attention. You know what I mean? They're not responding to me. They're responding to the fact that I'm saying, I write G.I. Joe. Will you help me out with this issue? And a couple folks there read it. Margaret Willoughby, who is their director of communications, and a woman named Patricia Watson, who is a PhD, a psychiatrist who works for Veterans Affairs. And so yeah, all three of those people read it, gave me notes. They did point out not necessarily things I'd gotten wrong, with things that maybe I would finesse this a little bit. This could be worded a little bit differently. I'm trying to think of an example. So okay, extraordinarily, spoilers in terms of I'm saying something that happens in the book, but I'm not spoiling an event in the book. Early on, Scarlett is in a group therapy session for the issues that she's dealing with, which is PTSD, but we actually were careful to never say the word PTSD. The word PTSD never appears in the issue. Because veterans have a lot of issues coming home, not necessarily related to PTSD. So I wanted to make it a little bit broader than that. But she's in a group therapy session, and another character is talking about how it was shocking when he came home from overseas to see how many different kinds of sodas were available here, and just how there was some cognitive dissonance for him there, which is a thing from my research that I saw veterans talking about similar things. But in my original script, Scarlett kind of sarcastically said, "That must be really traumatic for you." He was like, "You're darn right it is." And Patricia Watson from the Veterans Affairs, she was like, it kind of belittles the idea of trauma to have her say that. Could you have her say that must have been really tough on you or something like that? So I can't remember what the exact line is, but I changed that. So that was an example of the kind of little tweaks they made where and they helped me out with some of the clinical language that you have with the her therapist, who I'm not going to say who that is in case anyone hasn't read it yet, because that's a fun little Easter egg we did. But Tripwire, yeah, Tripwire in his last issue before he's killed. Yeah, sorry, that's a reference to something we were discussing before the live stream began.
Now you went and did it.
Everyone's like, what?
All the
rumors started, Paul.
That's right.
Like that, they would have been going bananas for the next 2 to 3 issues, waiting for Tripwire to come up and die.
Well, I will say that if you're a fan of seeing G.I. Joe characters die, you definitely want to pick up issue 9.
Tripwire dies. It's fine.
So all in all, for this one issue, Paul, about how many hours would you say you put into the script on that one?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It was a lot though, because I started working on it. I finished up 5 and 6 earlier than scheduled, so I'd have more time for it. And even then, I still I spent a little more time on it than I should have. My editor was very patient with me, and the artist was still working on past stuff, so it wasn't like I was jamming up the works. But I don't know. I couldn't say, but I will say that compared to a normal script, it was probably about twice as many hours. So, and then the revision process was also interesting. Like I said, I had the consultants, and then it went off to Hasbro, and I think that probably more people at Hasbro read this than any other G.I. Joe script, because they really put it through the ringer, and they asked me send them bios of my consultants just so they could be assured that I was talking to genuine people. And my editor was kind of don't don't be upset about this, but they wanted me to, and I was like, no, like that's really good due diligence. Like this is a topic you don't want to mess up, and I don't want to mess it up either. So yeah, I understand that completely.
So to follow up, here's Vagon again. Thanks for putting in the
Cool.
details. It shows.
Oh, thank
To
you.
be honest, I was worried before checking it out. And yes, that is the truth. Got me hooked on orange soda because you could always get it. Sprite, no.
Yeah.
So there you go, from a guy with airborne wings in his avatar. I'm going to guess that
Nice.
there's some service there.
Yeah.
We
Excellent.
have
Yeah,
another piece of input from Renegade Biker 24 before it gets lost in the shuffle here.
Sure.
Paul, there is a program called Heroes on the Water for veterans with PTSD. Says
great.
that you can find it on Facebook as well. So
Okay,
if you need more reference.
Okay, fantastic.
Just wanted to recognize that he's putting that out there before it got too far along.
Yeah, absolutely.
So two takeaways from this, besides it's a fantastic piece of character work. I read it last night. I was dead tired after a full day of work, but I stopped. I read the book, and then I kind of just walked to the kitchen, poured myself a drink of water, sat down, and read it a second time. Like, it was that good. I needed to go back and get it again to let it sink in. And what I liked best about it is there's no moment on the second to last page where Scarlett's like, "I'm cured now." You know, it's made pretty clear that this is something that she struggles with now, and she's going to continue to struggle with going forward.
Yeah.
And second off, we really felt the loss of this guy.
Yeah.
For the first time. It took 7 issues, 6.5 issues since he's dead, and we're really getting the effect of that for the first time. So this is really it's a well-crafted issue that stands out in a series of well-crafted issues.
Well, thank you. I mentioned on Twitter earlier today that, like, I'm guessing a lot of people, because the issue is getting so many people like mentioning it, is gonna, like, there are gonna be people who read this issue when they haven't read any of the previous ones, and then they'll probably, like, some of them maybe, like, wrap back around and start at issue 1. And I'm thinking, like, it'll be interesting to see their reaction to Duke's death if they read this one first and then issue 1 after it. Like, I almost worry that, like, I'm thinking as a reader, if I read issue 7, knowing nothing about the series, and then read issue 1, that moment would feel like so cruel. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but we'll see what happens if there are such folks out there. I shouldn't, be arrogant enough to assume that'll happen in mass or anything.
So we talked some about the psychology aspect of this. We got a question here from Matt Rubin. Who do you turn to see if your military terms are correct?
Various folks in my family and friends. I come from military families, so, like, yeah, I do not suffer for vets in my life. I both my dad and my stepdad were career Air Force enlisted guys. So yeah, that's not an issue. But and also Dwayne, my consultant on number 7, he was like, if you ever have any other questions, hit me up, let me know. So I was like, yeah, definitely. I will say that one thing that, like, it was Hasbro who wanted to sort of move toward the idea of this being a defense force that's drawn from the civilian population, and, like, when they kind of put that on me in the planning stages, I did realize that, like, okay, that just made my research a lot easier. Like, that's you guys did just do me a favor there, because I have a lot fewer military terms and military procedures that I have to stick to. So yeah. So it hasn't come up a whole lot, but when it does, I definitely have a lot of people I can talk to.
Excellent. I still say you should take my suggestion and make Flint a member of another team who really hits it off and buddies up with Frontier. I still say you should do that.
Excellent.
Just to make everybody wig out.
Also, I just noticed Dwayne is in the chat. Headspace and Timing, I believe that is Dwayne France himself. So, hey, man.
He's saying it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but
yeah, me neither.
Thank you for showing up, Dwayne, and for contributing.
I think maybe what you said about the end of the issue not having, like, a big moment of
yeah,
that could be it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Well, Paul, you said that before when you were making the initial pitch to write Joe, you had this topic or this issue in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Had you already planned that it would be Scarlet, or did you just know you wanted to tackle this issue and then chose the lead later?
I think I already had Scarlet in mind, honestly. Like, we're talking about, like, over a year and a half ago. So I think I might have had Scarlet in mind. If I didn't, I landed on Scarlet very, very quickly. So, yeah.
And one of the things I really liked about the issue, separate from the PTSD and trauma storyline, I really liked how it characterized the brotherhood of soldiers between Scarlet and Duke, because in popular media and even in G.I. Joe, the female characters are often defined by their love interest.
Yep.
And the fact that they had a connection that was genuine and genderless,
Yeah.
I thought was really, really cool. And you don't see that enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really important to me, that their relationship in this issue just be like one of, brothers and sisters in arms. But yeah, absolutely. I will say there was some concern when I picked Scarlet that, like, it would play into the stereotype of, like, women not being as in control of their emotions. And I kind of had to assure some folks early on that, like, this issue is going to make it very clear that this is an issue that a lot of different people face, and she won't be the only vet in the issue that we'll be looking at. So, and yeah, I mean, and that'll be I think a complex and nuanced enough portrait that no one's gonna come out of it thinking that. But it was good to get that note early on, though, since it was something I was able to keep in mind. It helped me not only with the gender thing, but just with making sure in general to make it treat it as a complex issue that everyone has to deal with in their own way.
Speaking of basing characters, and I'll throw Spoiler Duke up one more time. Roger, the character who has the issues with the soda, is he based on anyone in particular from Joe Mythos? Is he one of the case studies that you studied? What's up there? You seem to have a bit more personal depth than you spent a lot of time getting into his specifics than many other characters in the book.
Yeah. It was, a lot of it was drawn from my research, like different things he said, were different things I'd seen in oral histories and in the case studies in the Fields of Combat book, not based on any particular person that I know in real life, though. No.
Okay. And we'll keep talking, but you guys keep throwing your questions up in the chat. We're here so that the public can throw stuff at Paul about his wonderful book. If you're not reading G.I. Joe from IDW, obviously we'd rather have you read everything that has a G.I. Joe label on it. Gives us more reason to get together on Thursday night. But if you are specifically not reading this run of G.I. Joe, you are really missing out.
Yep.
Joe Colton, you have any questions? You've been quiet.
No, I was gonna ask him the same thing you did, but I was like, great, now I have no question. So
there you go.
I did enjoy. I think PTSD is a very hard topic to discuss, and also to read about for the average person, and they don't know how to approach it or feel about it. It is kind of like, it's over there. It's not, has nothing to do with me kind of thing. But you brought it into light in a way that, like, there's a ton of people who have this and who go through these things, and it's not an alien thing. It's normal, and we should care about these people who have this and go through it, and it's a process. It's not like they can switch it on or off. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Joe and her group, The Finest, they've done a lot of charity work in the past for Canines for Warriors.
Fantastic.
Who have raised, how much have you guys raised over the last few years? I mean, we're talking
80,000.
Wow, that's fantastic. Nice.
Yeah, we took a break from doing a giant calendar this year, but we're doing other little things. If there's a show, a small show, we've got like stickers and shirts and stuff that we're selling, and past calendars. People are like collecting now the calendars from like previous years that you didn't like think that would be a collector thing. People are collecting like cosplayers in like G.I. Joe outfits and a calendar.
That's interesting. Well, every 7 or 8 years, they're usable again.
Right.
And we'll get this comment up next year from the Cobra Viper. I had 8 combat tours and my own struggles with PTSD. 2 of my deployments were after my diagnosis. Thank you for the work you did for this issue. It showed.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And he did
Really
sign
means
it
a lot
later
to me.
on. I don't know if I necessarily want to put the signature up there, but everybody can see that. And it's that's big. That's knowing that gentleman personally. That's high praise.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, honestly, that just means so much to me. The response from folks in the military community to this book has just been incredibly heartening. Honestly,
Okay.
I mean, it's like when I hear comments like that, like I don't really know what to say because it's honestly somewhat overwhelming.
Paul, it had to be hard because you had to know this was going to be an important issue, and you just know when something you're working on is extra good or extra special, but you had to wait, right? You had the extra wait before this could come out. So you had to have a ton of anticipation for, right? And not to toot your own horn, but I'm sure you knew this was a really seminal issue and couldn't wait for people to be able to digest it and get to do that.
Yeah, I had a feeling it might be seen as something special, and I'd hope so. But yeah, it has been very, very anxiety, creating to like
A giant sigh.
just keep waiting for it to come out. Yeah.
We can see the release. Your beard is actually getting browner as we talk. Like all the gray is just going away. It just.
When you talk about it being a seminal issue, I think of this as like my silent interlude, but this is the talkie interlude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Talking interlude.
Yeah.
It doesn't roll off the tongue quite the same, ironically.
No, not quite.
It's a great issue. Now I got to track down all 50 alternate covers.
Right.
There you go.
Which
I
one
think
is
there's
your
only
favorite
2.
cover?
There's 2.
Number 2. Which one is your favorite cover?
Oh, I mean, I think Chris's, the main cover with Scarlet and Duke on it, because it's that Sarah Richard Baroness cover is just extraordinary as a piece of art. But like the variants often don't relate to the story. So yeah, I like Chris's cover because it ties into the story so strongly. But yeah, then that Baroness cover is amazing though.
I must have missed the Baroness in that issue somewhere.
Yeah,
she's in one. She's in one panel.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll dig it out.
We'll turn a little bit from.
Wait a minute. No surprise that I can't find the Baroness right now.
Yeah, life imitating art.
See what I did? Okay.
Next question. We'll veer off of issue 7 specifically here. Who's your favorite character to write for at the moment, and who's the most difficult? A big swig of moonshine there, Paul.
Scarlet's probably my favorite at the moment. I was gonna say like, and Fade Away is a close second, and also Jinx and Roadblock. Like I would say Scarlet is my favorite character. Not just in 7 because I finished writing it a long time ago, but in a couple of issues that I just finished as well. Although I will say, like, my favorite combination of characters continues to be Blood and Mindbender. I just love any scene with the 2 of them together, showing their just very weird friendship. That's been a lot of fun, and their weird friendship is going to be paying off later this arc in a big way. So that'll be fun to see. Most difficult, Cobra Commander is tricky just because I don't want to overuse him, and I want to keep him a little bit, mysterious, but I don't want him to be like such a cipher that And so far he has been. Like, he's only been in the book a couple times, but I just finished an issue that he's in a lot more, and we that issue was kind of like, it was definitely a balancing act to flesh him out while also not, I think with mysterious characters, you often, if you learn too much about them, they become, not as exciting. So
the Wolverine effect.
I was about to say that, but then I was like, no, I do some writing for Marvel. I should keep my mouth shut.
Okay,
I appreciate you saying it.
I have no comic writing career to worry about. I'll take that one. Ruin. That's the X-Men credo. Let's take our best character and ruin him. And we'll find a new best character and we'll ruin him.
I do like that Wolverine is the strong silent character who the man of few words, but then most of his books just tend to have a massive number of internal narration captions. It's it's a fun little loophole they found there.
But I'm reading through the comments.
Yep.
I'm gonna put the Headspace one up.
Sure.
Oh. Well, thank you, Dwayne. I really appreciate that.
It's back. When Dwayne read the script, he said to Paul the exact same thing. This is a game-changing issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's this. It's not just a G.I. Joe game changer, man. I really think that's something you're going to have on your resume for the rest of your life.
Thank you for not saying the first line of my obituary. That would have been a little darker.
Why? Do you know something? So, I guess question is, Paul, now that you've done all this research on it, what more can be done to help our veterans that are dealing with this situation? Where do you feel the weakness is in how we're helping these folks?
I honestly, that's above my pay grade. I mean, I researched, I researched what it's like to go through it and the treatments for it, but I mean, obviously there are shortcomings, but I would direct people to Dwayne's blog, the Headspace and Timing in his podcast, because that's a big part of what he deals with is getting resources out to people and all that kind of thing. So yeah, there's it's an excellent question, and it's a question that should be asked. I don't want to pretend like I'm enough of an expert on that aspect of it to speak intelligently about it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I have a spoiler question.
Sure.
Will this issue come back around in future issues?
Not immediately.
Okay.
Possibly. I mean, like I said, the past issue 12 isn't really broken down issue by issue, but not immediately. Like I said, the next couple of issues actually depart from our team altogether, and they both take place with completely new characters, not new to G.I. Joe, but new to our book and other parts of the world. So, and then we come back to our team for a little bit, but yeah,
it's happening. It's happening. We've talked enough times in the last few months. I know you're fake outs, Paul Allor. You're not hiding this from me. Your games are nothing to me.
You're just jealous that my character that I love so much is in it so much, and yours is not.
I am not. I really don't. I'm good with any G.I. Joe that's being done well.
You just want Beachhead all the time.
No, I don't. That's not true. I loved Renegade. He was nowhere close to Renegade.
Hey, Paul.
Right?
Given that the closeness of that Scarlet and Duke had that you made clear in this comic, just as brothers and sisters in arms, and that there's one guy, I mean, not even chiefly responsible, specifically responsible for Duke's death. Is that some kind of vendetta or showdown we might see explored down the road? Or is that a too loaded?
He's grinning.
Yeah. Never mind.
Who knows? Wow, that's a good idea. I need to write that down.
Right? You never thought of that.
Okay.
Here it is going once again. You've made him nervous.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I'll have to give you credit for that if that ever happens.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
There
what?
you go. We're breaking the news right there.
If it happens, I'll be rooting for the redhead.
That's a Honcho news break.
Okay.
We need to get a sound effect for that.
You're voting for the ginger.
So will I.
Yeah. Just it's for solidarity. Mark's going to put a red streak in his ponytail.
There you go.
Or a yellow streak in his ponytail.
As long as Scarlett doesn't put a blonde streak in her hair. Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Well, be careful. You might get that in feedback from the company. Hey, put some gold on her.
I think we're all right.
Sorry, too late.
Chris is pretty happy with his Scarlet design. I think he's pretty proud of that one.
So tell us a little bit more about the relationship you have with Chris working on the book. Do you iron out any kind of visuals with him, or do you just kind of leave that up to him to play with?
Chris and I have known each other for I think about 8 years now. He actually, I did, as some of you will know, a 4-issue G.I. Joe fill-in a long time ago at the end of Fred Van Linthe's run. And the first 2 issues of that were telling stories about different Cobra commanders throughout history. And the stories were all 3 to 5 or 6 pages each, and they had different artists doing them. And Chris actually did the one about the Cobra commander from way back who knew Dante. And so that was how we met, was working on G.I. Joe together. And then we talked about doing something together on a creator-owned basis. And after several years of kicking ideas around and pitching to different places, we did a book called Monstro Mechanica together through Aftershock, which I think if you enjoy G.I. Joe and you also enjoy creator-owned comics, you should check that out. It's about Leonardo da Vinci and his apprentice and their robot bodyguard. It's a lot of fun.
What is it called?
Oh, sorry, Monstro Mechanica. Monstro, then mechanic, and then an A at the end. Anyway, so then when I was brought on G.I. Joe, I actually asked my editor, I think Chris would be really great for this. Would you consider him? And they, he was already familiar with him, and so thankfully that was able to work out. So anyway, that was a very long-winded way of saying we actually have a really close relationship because we've worked together for so long, and I've visited him and his wife in the Netherlands. So yeah, we don't necessarily we talk a lot. We don't necessarily formally work out the visuals on any particular issue, but when I'm scripting, a lot of times I'll be like, here's the thing I'm thinking about doing, what would you think of this? And he'll tell me what he thinks, and we'll go back and forth on it for a while. And then again, when we when he's drawing it, he'll reach out to me a lot and be like, what would you think of changing this in the script, doing this differently? So there's a moment in issue 10 that I wish I could just tell you what it was, but I really can't. Where he took an action beat, a very basic action beat, and then he was like, "What if we did blinkety blink instead?" And I was like, "That's so brilliant! Yes, please do that." And then when the art came back in, he had added another element on top of that just makes it so weird and creepy and fun, and I'm just thrilled about it. So if you follow me on Twitter, when issue 10 comes out, I'll tweet about it in the panel and show you what I'm talking about. But it's just fantastic. So yeah, Chris brings so much to this. And I mean, in issue 7 again, we talked before as I was scripting about all the stuff about coming back to her, throwing the garbage away, coming back to her apartment, and how we would show visually the different her progress over time. So, and then Brittany, our colorist, also just did it's not easy to do 20 pages that goes through a year and a half and have to keep on changing the color palette as you move through the seasons. And she just did a really fantastic job with that, and with sort of also tracking the storytelling and the PTSD panels and all that through her color work. So yeah.
Yeah, I really dig Chris's visuals on the book. You can tell he's inspired by the old Sunbow look from the old cartoon series. It's a very, very clean, very, very 80s look on things.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the way he ties their look into their old 80s uniforms, but in civilian clothing, like Lightfoot with the 3 grenades printed on his shirt. That was just so funny. Yeah, and the character in G.I. Joe 7 who, is obviously a future Joe.
Yeah, I picked him out on the first reading and threw my brother for a loop on that
one. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, check out this guy. Oh yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So, question here from Matt Rubin again: how many G.I. Joe's characters do you have on deck to introduce in your current run? So, I guess we're looking for a number here, Paul.
Can you say? Do you know the number?
In the next issue 8, there are like 4. I'm including Cobra in here as well. There are 4 characters that you've seen before in other iterations, but that haven't been in our book yet. In issue 9, again, I mentioned the Dead Joes. Issue 9 has a lot of new characters. It has, I think 11. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
11 characters that are existing Joe characters and that time it's all Joes, no Cobra characters that we haven't seen before. And the people they're facing off with in that issue are new characters. Yeah, so and then we come back and stick to some of the characters we've already seen for a while. So issue 10 we introduce a new villain, so that's a lot of fun.
Cool. Go back to your research here. Barking Fridge has the question: did you research from a broad historical perspective of PTSD, such as
Mike,
the
I can't
patent
hear you
incident?
anymore. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
I hear you, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't have any volume right now. Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Let me try to plug in my headphones a little more.
There you go.
No, they seem okay. That's weird.
Can
Let me
you hear
try
us now?
unplugging my headphones and just using my computer's mic.
All right.
This is usually my role.
Yeah.
Yep.
Filling in for the Honcho here. Normally he's the one whose headphones break down.
I got out honchoed. I'll warn him when he gets back.
Your superpower is like.
Oh, look at this.
Bye.
It's short round.
It's a hot dog. Oh, we can't hear you, Paul.
Paul, you're muted.
Yeah. Maybe if we do this, speak no evil. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Here we go.
There we go.
Wow, I was talking a lot.
Yeah. You gotta love live streams, man. You gotta love it.
Yeah. So let me know if we get an echo. But if you guys can hear me all right, I guess we can just do this for a bit.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Normally only Joe Colton breaks things. So.
Or the Honcho with his earphones.
Yeah. I got a bad headphone set. What can I do?
Anyways, we'll go back to Barking Fridge's question here. Did you research from a broad historical perspective of PTSD, such as the patent incident, or did you want to keep things in your head current and focus purely on the last couple decades?
Yeah, it was pretty much the last couple decades. Most of the oral histories that I read were from Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. Like I said, the Fields of Combat book deals with Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, and all of the stuff I read on treatment. I tried to look at very current stuff because I didn't want to accidentally put something in that is no longer used or has fallen out of fashion in therapeutic circles. So yeah, no, I did try to look at current stuff. Well, the name of the book is A Soldier's Heart, which is a Civil War name for what we now would call PTSD. So yeah.
All right,
I like that you answered yes and then clarified.
What's that?
Yeah, somebody threw a question in there in between the question I was trying to answer in the chat. So.
Okay.
Because I've given up trying to get Joe Colton to do anything special for our podcast. So I'll just throw on a scary helmet. It's enough we get her to show up, frankly. I mean, Paul, this is the 4th time you've been on the show. It's the first time you've met Joe Colton. Am I right?
It's true. Yeah.
I'm like Pokeroo.
As I go after the person who's been on the program for like 4 years on attendance. That's a smart thing to do. Find your longest tenured co-host, slag them on attendance. Good plan.
Perfect.
I know how to keep this crazy train rolling.
Oh, next question.
Comic shops, if you're in an area that has one, a lot of smaller places don't. If you go to, there's a website called comicshoplocator.com that you can put in your zip code and find comic shops near you. If you are a digital reader, you can get them on a website called comixology.com. Other than that, there are also places where you can order them. It's a little expensive to just order like one issue because you're paying the $4 for the issue and then shipping just for one small comic to be sent to you. But the trade that has the first issue is coming out. I actually think it's going to move to like spring or something, which I saw that the other day that like it says that the first trade is coming out in March. I'm guessing that's incorrect. I'm guessing that's like a glitchy date that was caused by everything getting pushed back. But so as of right now, I don't know when the first 6 issues are coming out in trade, but they will eventually be.
That's crazy.
March is almost when the second one would be due, you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about right.
Like we'll be in if August is 7, September is 8, October is 9, November's 10, December's 11, January's 12. So yeah, March would be about when the second one shows up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an omnibus.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
You get those glossy,
so
get the glossy gold embossed hardcover.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, to answer that particular question, there's a trade coming on the first 6 issues of Paul's G.I. Joe. It was due in the middle of the shutdown, and so we're all waiting to see when that shows up.
Called G.I. Joe Volume 1: World on Fire.
So for the folks who don't follow you on Twitter, Paul, and I enjoy following you on Twitter because it's basically the continuing adventures of the little gentleman that is sitting with you. Tell us all about him.
Sure. This is Short Round. We actually, a friend of mine, actually not me, found Short Round as a stray on January 1st, 2018. So that was when he kind of crashed into my life. He didn't have a tag, didn't have a chip, wasn't neutered, and was emaciated. So we think he'd been on the street for a while. Was not trained at all. Like would actually choke himself on a leash when we first put him on one, and didn't like to be touched at all. So he was basically a cute little mess. We looked really hard to find his owner. Couldn't. We suspect he was probably dumped. And so I ended up taking him in a couple weeks later, and I've had him with me since then. And yeah, he's a great little dude. He's had a tough time this last year. Went blind. Had a couple other medical problems. He was in the hospital for a few days when he ate a mouse that had been killed by rat poison, and we were a few days and we weren't sure. Like the vets were basically like, if it's this kind of poison, he's not going to make it. So let's hope it's this kind of. And it was the good kind of rat poison. That
the good poison.
Cure. So yeah, no, he's my little dude. He's a good guy, and yeah, I do tweet and Instagram about him quite a bit. And as I said, he was in issue 4 of G.I. Joe along with me, so that was a lot of fun. I actually
Short Round 2 is a dreadnought. Shorty is a dreadnought.
Yes, Shorty's a dreadnought, and so am I apparently. I actually I asked Chris. I was like, since issue 4 takes place in Indianapolis, would you mind just like drawing Short Round into the background somewhere? Just like, he's still alive in this continuity after most of Indianapolis has been killed. Just having like, walking down along the road somewhere in the background as they're walking by or something. And Chris was like, well, I don't like the implication that means you're dead. So I'm going to draw him with you. So I was like, all right, that works too. That's cool. So that was how that ended up happening. So I didn't ask for myself to be drawn into the book. I just asked for Shorty to be drawn into the book, and Chris decided I need to come along with him. So yeah.
So were you guys in the chopper that went down, or were you in one of the ones that survived?
We survived. You don't actually see us in that last scene, but I decided that I just getting a little like philosophical about fiction and literature, but like I don't feel like the author really has the right to like establish canon outside of the work. You know, like J.K. Rowling, for example. Like I feel like if you want something to be established in the work, put it in the work itself. But I'll make that one exception, that it's canon that Shorty and I did survive the bad attack at the end of issue 4. We're good.
Short round, tougher than bats.
That's
here
right.
On the record.
Right. Absolutely.
He loves to eat dead things. He's tougher than bats.
I think you should have taken full artist or writer's privilege and just written a story of Mutt and Short Round. Now we're talking.
Junkyard is an issue too, but not just Junkyard.
Yeah, we don't see Mutt. We just get Junkyard.
Yeah,
that's all right though.
That's right.
He's a Junkyard that is pretty consistent with other iterations of Junkyard, so it's all right.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
easily recognized.
His name, I wanted to make sure that he looks similar. So, and yeah, I imagine that even when Mutt's not around, he just kind of has free reign of the headquarters. He can just walk around wherever he wants.
But much like Shorty, eating whatever dead things he comes across. Mice, birds, Cobra agents.
Yes.
Whatever.
Oh, I like Matt's comment.
Perfect.
Something to think about.
Somehow work that in. That'd be hilarious.
Draw that, Chris.
Oh yeah, someone already answered this, but since people watching the recording cannot see the chat, is that correct?
Correct. For the folks who are not live.
Okay, so
you'll be answering questions
for the folks who are not live and cannot see the chat, I should explain if you don't know. Yeah, a trade paperback, as they say here, is just when they collect several issues into one book. Basically, it's the difference between a floppy issue and a book with a spine, like this one. So you get 4 or 5 or 6 of these, and they make them into this. So.
Paul, do you find it limiting as a writer ever, given that comics are so well established in the 6-issue arc? Is that limiting at all as a writer to know that? I don't know that anybody has ever told that they have to do that, but I'm sure it's at least encouraged.
Yeah.
Keep your stories in a nice 6-issue rhythm because they trade up so well.
Mm-hmm. I think actually, I think you're seeing a lot of comics these days that are being told more in 4 and 5 story arcs, just because the economics of it make more sense. Because like a 4-issue trade is not 2/3 the price of a 6-issue trade, so it's like it's less, but not that much less. So they're doing a little bit better on that. But no, and on G.I. Joe, like I'm actually really lucky that they were down with my desire to do one-shots, which for those of you who aren't reading it, every issue of G.I. Joe, they tell one overarching story, but every issue is its own mission, its own story, and that's actually like really rare these days in comics to do that, and they've been very supportive of that, so it's been awesome as well. Yeah, really has been. IDW have been great about letting us do a lot of what we would like to do. I mean, including like issue 7. Like this is not an issue that was, I'm sure, an easy approval for them. So, but they were incredibly supportive of it from the beginning.
Was it was it still Chris Ryall who signed off on that one, or was it the new leadership?
No, it was Chris. But I don't know like how. I was thinking more of Hasbro. Like I don't know how much internal discussion there was at IDW about it. But yeah, I mean, like there are things in that issue that like. I mean, like, sometimes I'll put things in a script and I'll know that, like, this is going to get rejected by the editor or the licenser, but I'm putting it in anyway, and then it gets rejected, invariably. And in the, you want to hold up Duke?
Hold him up. Duke's up.
There we go. In the issue 7 script, one of those moments was the very small moment where Duke is in Scarlett's apartment for the first time, and when he like picks up her weapon and empties it out, because it's a quick moment. It's only in one panel, but it's very there's a lot to unpack in that one moment. That is that says things about where Scarlett is at, or at least where Duke thinks she's at. That I didn't think I was going to be able to do. I thought for sure they're going to be like, no, you can't do this. Absolutely not. And no, they never said a word about it. So yeah, they were.
Or they didn't notice it till you just said something now.
Yeah, and now they can't take it back.
With the number of people at Hasbro that read this issue, I don't think that's the case. But yeah.
And the guy on top of the publishing is still Michael Kelly.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Michael is awesome. And Michael, like, he just, not to brag or anything, but Michael just sent us a really, really kind email to the whole creative team about the issue. And so that was incredibly heartening to hear.
Yeah, and Michael misses nothing. So
yeah,
he's,
yeah, that's true.
Paul Allor Duke will raise his fist in triumph.
Yeah, if nobody else reads an issue, Michael definitely does.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure this one got the full treatment, maybe even from well up the ladder.
Yeah.
Usually, Mike is the arbiter of all things publishing, but it wouldn't surprise me if this didn't go up the ladder a little bit, because it is such a sensitive topic. They'd want to make sure it was handled as well as you definitely handled it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So we're coming up on the hour mark. Joe Colton, we'll give you one more shot here. Have you have any pressing questions for Paul?
Nope.
All right.
So you see what happens. You get moved up to the top row. You start asking for your questions first.
Right.
It's not so bad being second row, is it?
No, I do look forward to the rest of the issues though. Like I'm now really excited for like the next couple.
Awesome.
For sure.
Thank you.
October Guard is like a special place in my heart. Love those. I love the characters. So
she has some October Guard inspired collecting trauma. So
very cool.
Mark Weber.
Yes.
Questions for Paul?
No. I mean, the question, it's the same Jared question. Do you have any Cobra troopers in your area that you can send
I can personally vouch for Paul. No, he does not.
Okay.
He does not have any Cobra troopers in the area.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, just I made a lame joke about not being able to find any Cobra troopers.
Oh.
Maybe you can write some more into your story. So,
there you go.
Because nobody's finding them anywhere else.
Gotcha.
So
no, but
Paul,
I love
for the
issue. My regular comic shop, I went last night. They close at 7 now, which I didn't know. So the stop by and read it the night before thing didn't work. So I stopped at a different branch on the drive home tonight. They were sold out, which is a good sign.
yeah.
And then so I had to hightail it to make it to my regular comic shop by 6:58 while they're trying to pull down the thing. And like, no, I got a card.
Foot in the door?
Yeah, don't you know who I am? I got a podcast tonight. Give me my G.I. Joe. So,
I'm on What's on Joe Mind.
right?
And they look back at you and they say, what?
No, they're like, you know Mike Irizarry? I do.
At which point they slam the door down harder.
That guy.
Damn.
So hard your teeth rattle.
I'm that guy. I'm the 6:58 guy that every store hates. That was me tonight. Yep.
So, Paul, for all the rookies and greenhorns that haven't listened to you on our program before, where can they find you on social media?
Twitter, at Paul Allor. That's where I spend the most of my time on social media. Instagram, I believe I'm Paul.Allor. That's mostly pictures of my dog, which I'm not saying you shouldn't follow me for that because, they're excellent. And I'm also on Facebook. I don't use it as much. It's pretty much the same stuff that you'll see on Twitter as well. But you just search for Paul Allor. I think I'm the only one on there.
That's good because there's a German Joe Colton who's trying to steal. Serpent.
That guy.
Yep.
I'm going to trip that guy.
Get headbutted and have fang marks to deal with. Joe
I have no
Colton's
problem
violent.
headbutting in this helmet.
Don't cross
Yeah.
Joe Colton.
I feel like I'd win the headbutt.
Probably.
Yep.
Lose a tooth, it'd be fine.
Yeah. It's not even one of your teeth. Whatever.
I know.
It's fake teeth.
It'd be weird, Serpenter having one tooth. Like, come on.
Well, you could take that fang and then kind of pop it in your own mouth at that point. So.
Good.
We're just trying to come up with ways to make you look more boss.
Giant armor.
That's right. Heat stroke inducing armor. Paul, you have anything else you want to tell the public at large?
No, I write other things besides G.I. Joe. If you want to go check them out, I've written a bunch of Ninja Turtle stuff. My own creator-owned books. If you're interested in military comics and war comics, I have a book called Tet, which takes place in Vietnam in 1968 and 1984. It's a war-torn romance crime story, so it's kind of a bit of a genre matchup there. But so yeah, check it out.
Excellent.
I write good. You like?
There we go. Sounds like that's a bumper sticker on your car.
Yes.
He write the word good. He write good word.
Read good words, be happy.
Paul, it is always a pleasure. As always, anytime you need a megaphone, we're here for you. I'm not sure how loud we turn anymore, but you're welcome to join us whenever you need to.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. I'll see you next week.
All
At
right.
least I didn't have a migraine this time. We're good. I got to finally meet you.
Yes, absolutely.
And ironic in that we're kicking her off to make a spot for you.
I can't win with Mike.
We might have to she might have to show up as our guest then.
Tough crowd.
But
Don't bark.
Right?
Okay.
for my co-hosts, Joe Colton and Mark Weber, our
And
guests,
Short Round.
Paul Allor, and Short Round, Mike Irizarry. Thanks for tuning in to What's on Joe Mind. We will catch you again next time. Have a great evening.
Beer.